Okay, a country that wanted to be independent, free, and liberal, but has companies that are software companies and demand that the whole world uses their software, right? And make sure it's very proprietary and traps you into using just theirs. Of course, I'm talking about Microsoft. Well done, Denmark. Thank you, Renegade, for posting that in the chat in our Discord. I thought I'd just make a quick video on this as well. And LibreOffice, I think that's how you pronounce it, Libre, LibreOffice. I've always thought it's way better than any of Microsoft's crap. Everything's better than Microsoft's crap because your machine goes all sluggish and chokes and breaks down very quickly eventually, even if you bought it and it was all bells and all whistling and very pro when you bought it, but it didn't seem that long before it started chugging, right? Because all those backdoors of Microsoft for bloatware and all those backdoors really are to watching everything you're doing, the telemetry, and all those backdoors are the same backdoors that a virus programmers exploit. But Linux is far more airtight. And of course, nothing is 100% airtight, nothing is 100% secure. So you're going to find Linux as it becomes more and more popular, but in the higher ranks, the authority ranks, rather than citizenship, it's going to be more and more targeted by unscrupulous people trying to do virus programs here and there. You can virus check stuff on Linux. It's fine. Generally, for somebody like me, you generally don't really need to virus check on the way or the heavy ways in which you have to. You're kind of like obligated to and have to for your own safety with Windows. I'm not telling you to not bother with when it comes to Linux. When it comes to virus checking, please do. There are ways to do it. So, TechRadar.com says Denmark wants to replace replace Windows and Office with Linux LibreOffice as it seeks to embrace digital sovereignty. The best thing about Linux, open source, you can fork it, and if you ever heard that term, I could have Zorin OS forked, and that means is I could create a collaboration to have it a new Linux distro based on Zorin, but Zorin's based on Ubuntu. You've heard of Ubuntu and other things, and it's a way to add your own things in there. Certainly Zorin, I do like Zorin, so it can be a bit bloated depending on what you're installing and what you're using, but I find it very, very stable. Anything compared to Windows is very stable, to be honest with you. Companies in the UK are dragged behind and have so many losses financially on security issues because they use Microsoft. It really is a problem. Slow, sluggish, virus issues, all kinds of issues. So Denmark wants out of Microsoft's grip. Let me replace that Microsoft with America's grip. Turning to Linux and LibreOffice for independence, the Danish government is choosing open source over vendor lock-in and foreign tech control. When you run Linux on your machine is your machine. When you run Windows on your machine belongs to Microsoft. Pretty much. You bought something for Microsoft if you just keep using Windows. Unless you're using it off the internet without the connectivity. LibreOffice might be free, but can it match Microsoft's Office compatibility, it says in this article. Absolutely. I can't see any reason why it wouldn't. Denmark is embarking on an ambitious effort to reduce its reliance on proprietary software from foreign tech giants by transporting its government systems away from Microsoft offerings, Windows and Office 365. The ironic thing is Microsoft servers use Linux to run those servers, but they're adamant that you buy their software. Why do they use Linux? Because it's more stable. It's easier, it's better for those servers. The Danish Ministry of Digitalization reportedly plans a phased migration to Linux operating systems and LibreOffice for office productivity. The initiative is driven by concerns over digital sovereignty and the strategic risk of depending on foreign providers, particularly those based in the United States. This is what a lot of people don't understand. The whole world has been watching the collapse of America, which has been collapsing way long before Trump got involved anyway. But of course, the administration, Trump's administration, has made things worse. But everything that is even remotely, anything, if even remotely lean towards America, people want to detangle that. They want it nothing to do with America whatsoever because it cannot be trusted. The amount of fuckery and criminal activity at every level of the priority is happening in America. It's criminal. There's a loophole. Let's exploit it. That's the Republican Party right now. A bunch of criminals looking to do criminal things so that they can maintain a rich oligarch power, and anyone who goes near it, touches it, from other countries, is at risk. Let that sink in, because that's really the crux of things here, especially when it comes to digital technology. Open source tools as a strategy for independence. Danish officials cite widely used open source Office suite LibreOffice as the best alternative to Microsoft Office for their needs. The ministry aims to gain greater control over software updates, data storage, and security while avoiding vendor lock-in. Yeah, the proprietary, you got this, therefore you have to have this specific thing proprietary. With Linux, it's like you got something in a certain way, there's lots of freedoms of way you can do things, right? The core objective, according to Minister Caroline Stage, is strategic: to safeguard Denmark's digital infrastructure from the uncertainties of geopolitical tensions. Yes, I mean, look at the Signalgate issue as well. It's just mind-blowing how what something should be a top-secret discussion was done on some publicly for citizens chat. Mind-blowing. And you wonder what else is going on. And what we don't know is really what the world is fearful of, because the lack of standards and what we have seen, what's going on and what they haven't told us is the alarm bell there. Tensions and the risk of disrupted access to United States-based services. Yeah. Geopolitical tensions and the risk of disrupted access to United States-based services. Yeah, great point. Very good point. This article goes on to say the move aligns with a broader trend across Europe, where governments are increasingly cautious about long-term implications of depending on foreign tech companies, or particularly any technology that's coming out of America. Any software giant that is American based right now, with operating systems, different software that communicates into networks and so on, can be seen very easily as a security risk because of the corruption going on. Denmark's initiative is not without precedent. More than a decade ago, Germany, most notably the city of Munich, attempted to replace Microsoft products with Linux and LibreOffice. Despite initial enthusiasm, the project was eventually reversed due to compatibility issues. The dissatisfaction, dissatisfied, I'm not saying that right, and challenges in maintaining productivity. Given this history, observers may question whether Denmark's approach can yield different results. Yes, I believe it will, because Linux has come so much further. The more it improves, the faster it improves. It seems to be very exponential. Whereas Microsoft, the more bells and whistles that are added, it's in favor of Microsoft just watching everything and being a risk to your security. Whereas Linux seems to behave is a very different animal. The pragmatic stance indicates a willingness to prioritize operational community over strict adherence to the transition timeline. While LibreOffice is often described as the leading alternative to Microsoft Word, its real-world performance in government settings remains a subject of debate. Yeah, because it's not been used enough yet within that level of authority. As soon as it is a lot, you're going to get a lot of people preferring it. You guarantee. Compatibility with Microsoft Office documents and user adaptation to a new interface may pose significant challenges. The file formats in LibreOffice, the Office suite, you can read file formats from Microsoft Office anyway, and PDFs is what PDF stands for is portable data format, meaning you could port it across different platforms by different types of software to read it anyway, by its very design. Of course, Microsoft Office doesn't just do PDF format, it does all these others. Compatibility, maybe I read that bit. Likewise, while Linux is frequently praised as a powerful and secure operating system, its stability and support can vary on the chosen distribution. That much is very true, yeah. And I still like Zorin OS. I'm still impressed with Zorin OS. I still think it's very secure, stable. These other distros that I don't think are, by Linux standards, that secure comparatively. Ultimately, Denmark's initiative represents a broader political and technological experiment, one that raises important questions about control, resilience, and the future of national digital infrastructure. Well, definitely. It raises a lot of questions about security, which it should, because Microsoft is nowhere near, even remotely anywhere near, as secure as it should be. But you know what America's like? It wants everyone to do American things. And Americanism leaking into other countries where it's really not wanted has been an unwanted, unwelcome thing for decades, especially when it comes to things like software and the way we do things, the ins and outs of certain political arrangements as well. And really, the world doesn't want anything to do with it more and more and more as America falls apart more and more and more. I am impressed with the No Kings protest, though. Well done, Americans. And if you really look at them, it's been discussed in the Discord chat that I frequent with this community. It's definitely, if you look at the parade, military were not in lockstep. They weren't marching effectively how they were trained to. That takes a lot of concentration to be a bit lax in your approach to marching and the way you're moving. Why were they doing that? They were protesting. They didn't give a fuck. Already, but they went through the motions, but they didn't have the heart wasn't in it, and rightly so, because this was just to feed Trump's ego, nothing more, nothing less, costing millions. If those millions are spent on a parade, then those millions can be spent on a medical care, right? But no, Trump needs to get a boner for all this and wank himself off, right? It's gross. Ultimately, Denmark's initiative represents a broader political technological experiment. I read that bit. Whether it will succeed where others have stumbled remains to be seen, but what is clear is that the move is less about software preference and more about who holds the keys to government technology. Yes, well done. Exactly. It's less about what you prefer as software. It's more about who you connecting to and what servers are you connecting to, seeing everything that you're doing and who's being replaced by like a Trump suck-up within different areas of authority that can have deals with Microsoft behind the scenes and all this kind of thing. We just don't know. And it's a very, very real, reality-based security issue and concern. Yeah. This is a great article, and I'll put the link below because it makes the one valid point why people should be moving away from this type of software. And you're really looking into the adaptability of Linux software because it's open source and adaptable by people who are learned enough and smart enough to apply the changes that they need and the security changes that they want for them, not for a big company. Nobody owns Linux. People own and release certain distros based on it, but nobody really owns Linux. That's a good thing. Thanks for watching. Take care. I look forward to doing another video. Bye bye.